So they got the right guy, and a court has said he needs to go. Any idea what Tompkins County Jail decided to do with that detainer order?
I will tell you this, the state of
It's a specific question.
No, I'm
what
telling
did Tompkins County do?
the descriptions you have put forth are absolutely chilling and disturbing and reprehensible to all of us. My job is to protect the people of New York.
Which is why I'm asking the question. What did Tompkins County do?
What I have responsibility
I will
for
tell you,
are
since you're not going to
state
answer.
courts,
We
state
cannot
police.
and will not hold Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah.
We can't keep the machete guy who had choked a police officer and assaulted a corrections officer. We can't keep him. In fact, we have the back and forth from Tompkins County and ICE on January 28th of this year, 8:56 p.m. Tompkins County tells ICE, we're not going to hold this guy. 7 minutes later, ICE responds back, we will be there to take custody this evening. 24 minutes later, Thompson County reiterates, we're not going to have him. We're not going to turn him over. 10:45. ICE arrives at the jail. 1 hour and 18 minutes later, and guess what? Mr. Hernandez is not there. They couldn't wait 1 hour and 18 minutes for a guy who assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, and then when in custody, assaulted corrections officers. That is sanctuary policy in a nutshell, and that is what your state supports, and so do these other governors. That is what is so wrong, why the American people hate this concept.
You're conflating what the state of New York does is I control state police and prisons. We have turned over 1,300 people.
So you disagree with it?
We turn over 1,300
Did the sheriff make the
people.
wrong call?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Right View Nation, where we defend truth, law, and common sense, even when the left runs from it like hellfire. Now I want you to brace yourselves, because what I'm about to break down is not only outrageous, it is the definition of liberal betrayal. We're talking about violent criminals, illegal immigration, and sanctuary madness all wrapped into one disgraceful story from the great, but sadly misgoverned state of New York. Let me ask you something, America. What kind of country releases a machete-wielding, police choking, corrections officer assaulting illegal alien, even after a court ordered him to be deported? Apparently, New York does. Thanks to sanctuary policies, leftist cowardice, and sheer incompetence, a violent criminal, Jesus Romero Hernandez, was let back out onto the streets, even after immigration and customs enforcement told them flat out, we're coming to pick him up. And what did Tompkins County do? They said, nah, we're not going to hold him. ICE gave them 1 hour and 18 minutes. 1 hour and 18 minutes. And they still released him. Folks, you can't make this up. This wasn't a shoplifter or someone who crossed the border to mow lawns. This was a man deported 7 times, who violently attacked a resident of New York with a machete, choked a police officer, and assaulted a jail guard while in custody. ICE did everything by the book. They had a court-issued removal order. They had biometric proof that this man was who they said he was. They even had an arrest warrant signed by a federal judge. And still, the Democrat-run jail in Tompkins County said, we're not going to turn him over. This is the madness of sanctuary policy. This is what happens when Democrats value political correctness over American safety. They would rather cater to open-border activists and illegal immigrant lobbies than protect their own citizens. Governor Hochul, of course, was dragged before Congress and grilled by Representative Jim Jordan. And her response? Pure cowardice. She tried to dance around the issue, blame ICE, dodge the questions. She wouldn't even directly condemn what happened. You know why? Because this is what the Democrat playbook looks like. Let violent illegals in. Tie ICE's hands. Blame the system when someone gets hurt. Then scream xenophobia when we demand accountability. And it gets worse. When pressed, Governor Hochul finally, reluctantly, admits the person should have been held. But by then, the damage was done. Hernandez was long gone. And guess what? He's since been rearrested. That's right. They let him go, and now he's back in custody, deemed such a threat that he's not even allowed to leave his cell. Let me say that again. They wouldn't hold him for ICE, but now they won't even let him out of his jail cell because he's too dangerous. How much clearer can it be?
Recognizes Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Hochul, 3rd paragraph, 2nd sentence in your written testimony, you said New York State cooperates with U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement in criminal cases. Governor, who's Jesus Romero Hernandez?
Thank you. I want to reaffirm that we do cooperate in cases where,
That wasn't the question. I just read your statement. I can read your statement. Who is Jesus Romero Hernandez?
I don't have the details on every
I'll
single
tell ya.
person in a state of 20 million people.
I understand, but this guy's a citizen of Mexico, deported 7 times, came to your state, assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, then when he was in custody, assaulted a corrections officer. ICE finds out this guy is in your state's custody, and they send you a detainer. You're familiar with a detainer, right?
Yes, I am.
Notice of action, immigration detainer to Tompkins County Jail from Syracuse Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Section 1, they check a couple boxes. The first one they check is a final order of removal against the alien has taken place. That means a court has said this guy needs to go. This machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy needs to go. Then they also check another box and they say biometric confirmation of who this individual is, this alien's identity. So they got the right guy, and a court has said he needs to go. Any idea what Tompkins County Jail decided to do with that detainer order?
I will tell you this, the state of
it's a specific question.
Well, I'm
What
telling-
did Tompkins County do?
the descriptions you have put forth are absolutely chilling and disturbing and
course they are.
reprehensible to all of us. My job is to
which
protect
is
the
why I'm
people of New
asking the
York.
question. What
And
did
this-
Tompkins County do?
What I have
I
responsibility
will
for
tell you,
are
since you're not going to
state
answer,
courts,
we
state
cannot
police.
and will not hold Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah.
We can't keep the machete guy who had choked a police officer and assaulted a corrections officer. We can't keep him. In fact, we have the back and forth from Tompkins County and ICE on January 28th of this year, 8:56 p.m. Tompkins County tells ICE, we're not going to hold this guy. 7 minutes later, ICE responds back, we will be there to take custody this evening. 24 minutes later, Thompson County reiterates, we're not going to have him. We're not going to turn him over. 10:45. ICE arrives at the jail. 1 hour and 18 minutes later, and guess what? Mr. Hernandez is not there. They couldn't wait 1 hour and 18 minutes for a guy who assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, and then when in custody, assaulted corrections officers. That is sanctuary policy in a nutshell, and that is what your state supports, and so do these other governors. That is what is so wrong, why the American people hate this concept.
You're conflating what the state of New York does is I control state police and prisons. We have turned over 1,300 people.
So you disagree with it?
We turn over 1,300
Did the sheriff make the wrong
people.
call?
Those are local policies that we would not have done in the state of New York. State of New York, that is
So
a
you're
local
saying the sheriff's
decision.
wrong?
I would say this, if it happened in a state prison, we have already turned over 1,300 people.
Sheriff
In
in
fact,
Tompkins County,
I
a
wanna say
Democrat or
this.
Republican, Governor?
There have
You any
been
idea?
times, excuse
The
me,
sheriff in Thompson County, a Democrat or
excuse me,
Republican?
excuse me, there have
No,
been
excuse
times
me, I
when-
ask the questions, you give the
Well, I'm
answers. Is he a
asking
Democrat or
for a
Republican? Do you
second.
know?
I'm asking for this moment to explain that I'm sometimes
I'm
waiting
asking,
for ICE
is he a
to come
Democrat
pick
or
up
Republican,
people.
and do you agree
I
with the
believe
actions
he's a
he took?
Democrat.
Do you agree with the actions he took? How about that question?
They are in conflict with what the state of New York would do.
Well, maybe they're scared. By the way, he is a Democrat sheriff. Maybe the county guys are a little scared because you said this. I'm quoting from, it looks like the New York Times. We all know you can trust them. This is last month, May 25th. You said we have some counties that are renegade counties and work with ICE. Maybe they're nervous of being called a renegade county by their governor. So the Democrat sheriff says, we're not going to keep the machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy. We're not going to keep him here for you to get here. We can't even wait an hour and 18 minutes. Oh, you know what else was interesting in this case? You know what else was interesting? There was actually an arrest warrant from United States District Court, Northern District of New York, signed by Judge Wiley Danks, magistrate from Syracuse. There was an arrest warrant, and they still couldn't keep him.
The state of New York cooperates. We cooperate in removal of individuals who've served time. We respond to detention. You're confusing, and maybe there's a lesson in civics here that's
will you say on the
necessary.
record right here, I got 12 seconds, will you say on the record, was Tompkins County wrong in the actions they took on January 25th, 2025, when they wouldn't hold the guy for 1 hour and 18 minutes? Was
Those are
Tompkins
not the
County
policies
wrong?
that we would have in the state of
No,
New
no,
York. Those
but-
are not the policies we would have in a.
Were they wrong? Should
Because
they,
I've
should
already
they have turned
said
that guy over to ICE? It's a
I've-
simple question, Governor.
that was a horrible situation. The person should not have been out there, and
It's a horrible situation, but it's a yes or no question.
it is a response that this is a locality.
Do you agree or
in the
disagree?
state of New York,
Agree or
the person
disagree?
should have been held.
Yes or no?
The person should have been held, and in the state of New York, we would have turned him over. That is in conflict with what we would do as a state
appreciate
with
the chair's
respect to
indulgence. I
prison.
yield back.
And I want to know why ICE won't come and pick up the individuals who have served time in our state. I have cases where they have not even shown
Governor, a
up.
court order and a detainer for a guy who did the things Mr. Hernandez did, and Tompkins County can't hold him an hour and 18 minutes, and you won't say that's wrong?
I have said we cooperate when there's a criminal case where someone has committed a
This is
crime. We
sanctuary
turn them
policy.
over.
This is sanctuary policy in a nutshell. You won't even
You're
condemn something that anyone
mischaracterizing.
with common sense knows is ridiculous.
You're mischaracterizing the
Chair-
laws of the state
I
of
had the
New York.
facts here.
That's
Oh,
all
can I
right.
do one other thing, Mr. Chairman? Now he's been rearrested, and guess what? This guy who's now been rearrested, there is imminent danger that this inmate will do
I'll
injury
give
to
him a
himself and
minute.
to others and presents a threat to safety, security, and good order of the facility, so he's not permitted to leave his cell. So this guy's not even allowed out of his cell, but they let him out on the street a few months ago. That's how ridiculous this is.
When he does leave his cell, we go back to
Gentlemen,
his country under our
time's
orders for
expired.
deportation.
Chair recognizes Mr. Mfume, and I'll give you an extra minute.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I've got two unanimous consent requests that I hope would not count against my time.
This is a direct result of sanctuary insanity. This is what happens when leftist policies protect criminals over citizens. And if you think this is just happening in New York, wake up. It's happening in California, in Illinois, in Oregon, and God forbid, it's heading to your backyard next if we don't stop it. The American people are done being quiet. We're done watching violent illegals stroll through the system while law-abiding citizens get stabbed, assaulted, and ignored. We demand real border security, mandatory cooperation with ICE, the end of sanctuary cities, and criminal charges for any official who knowingly releases violent offenders back into our communities. This is about more than politics. This is about protecting the homeland. That's all they needed to do the right thing, to protect a community, to uphold the law. But they didn't, and Governor Hochul couldn't even say it was wrong until she was backed into a corner. This is Right View Nation, and we won't sit back while the left sells out our safety for open border virtue signaling. So I say this loud and clear. If you protect violent illegals, you betray America. If you ignore ICE, you betray justice. And if you put the criminal above the citizen, you don't deserve to govern a free nation. Like if you're fed up with sanctuary policies. Comment if you think violent illegals should never walk free. Share this video, expose the left's hypocrisy, and help us fight for every law-abiding American. This is Right View Nation, and we're just getting started. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.